Welcome to your $1,400 stimulus check, paycheck protection, and EIDL update. That was my ventriloquist intro. How did I do? So we have a lot to cover today regarding the $1,400 stimulus check and why people are getting a half stimulus check. We're going to dive deep here. We have some updated paycheck protection guidance and processing in order to get your funding as quickly as possible. It's really important if you're a small business owner. And we have some EIDL news that's kind of exciting because this channel actually kind of influenced politics a little bit, and it's a little bit mind-blowing. So let's just go ahead and hop right in, starting off with the stimulus checks. So people are set to receive those stimulus checks if they made $75,000 as individuals and $150,000 as joint filers, and you're set to receive $1,400 for you and your spouse and every single one of your dependents, whether that's a child dependent or an adult dependent. It's a very expansive stimulus check this time around. And actually about half of all stimulus check recipients have already received their payments, or those payments are pending in their bank accounts right now because so many people received the electronic payment. So it's exciting that this has happened quicker than ever before, quicker than the last two rounds of stimulus payments. However, there's still this kind of long tail where there's certain individuals who may run into some struggles with receiving this payment as well. Sorry if you hear some snoring. My dog is snoring over here. I would hate to wake him up and bother him while I'm doing this. Anyways, certain people are saying that the amount that they received in their stimulus payment on this third time is cut in half or more. So some people are reporting that the Get My Payment tool is wrong, like they log into the Get My Payment tool and it shows an incorrect amount to what they should receive. And others are saying the actual deposit is an incorrect amount. Now there's even a Facebook group that's titled Half Stimulus Mission / Receive Status that's garnering a lot of additional support right now. It's at over 6,000 followers right now. And in this group, there's tons of people running into this exact issue. There was even a woman on there who was set to receive $5,600, but instead got $3. I'm not even sure how exactly that's possible. You would have had to make like just a couple dollars less than the absolute income limit to even make that happen. It doesn't really make sense. So why is this happening? First, it's important to note that this stimulus check can be garnished. So it could be past due child support, it could be past due state income tax, or it could be some other kind of debt that's being garnished. Now, this will likely be solved with an additional bill that will hopefully be passed, but it's not passed as of right now. So it could be that. However, many people in that Facebook group and elsewhere are saying that they owe no past debts. There was no problem with their last stimulus payments. They were well within the income limits. So based on all that, they should be able to receive those full stimulus payments that they're entitled to. However, they're just simply not. So somewhere in the IRS system, calculations are wrong or some kind of certification is wrong. Now, the IRS has acknowledged this issue, but hasn't posted formal guidance on it quite yet. So really, we know it's a mix of some kind of glitch and criteria and garnishment, but we don't know exactly what's happening. But here's what we do know. The most recent stimulus bill outlines a way to supplement stimulus payments. So the last two stimulus bills didn't tell the IRS that they had to have a way to add on to stimulus payments. This one does. We don't know how the system's going to work, but it says that the IRS must have a way to correct stimulus payments that are sent in the wrong amount after the effect without having to file that recovery income credit. So there's going to be some way to fix this before the end of the year. And then worst case scenario, it will absolutely be possible to be fixed on your next year taxes via a recovery rebate credit, because it's just a basic calculation on how exactly you should receive that payment, how much you should receive. So worst case, you will receive this in the long run, but we're looking for ways to fix this right now because stimulus money now is worth a lot more than stimulus money a year from now. Now, moving on from here, certain people will get the stimulus check by mail, but what exactly is the timeline there by mail? Like I said, a large portion of people have already received stimulus payments, but also a large portion of people will receive that paper check or the EIP card. And you might receive either, even if you haven't received one of those in the past. So starting last week on the 15th, paper checks began being sent out. However, it's been a slow ramp up so far with the paper checks. Only about 150,000 of those have been reported to be sent. It's probably up a little bit from those numbers because that was mid last week when those numbers were last reported. But we know the IRS can send about 6 or 7 million paper check wise per week. That doesn't count the first EIP cards, which are set to start being sent out sometime this week, the week of the 22nd. So after they're sent, you can expect, 5 to 7 days to receive that payment. One way to see a couple days earlier as to what you're receiving in the mail, being the stimulus check, you can download the USPS app, and basically what they do is they scan the mail before it is sent to your final destination. It gets sent to an app, and you can see what exactly is coming. That's downloadable in any app store for your phone. I think you can actually even do it online as well. One thing we don't know yet is the SSI and the SSDI paper check arrival. We're still waiting on a final announcement there. And also it's important to note that the IRS can technically send a payment anytime before December 31st. Now we know that they're not going to want to wait that long. They want to just get this thing done with, especially if there's the potential for a fourth stimulus check. Maybe, we don't know exactly, could be. But they're going to want to get these things out as soon as possible, especially because they don't want people harping on them. But that's it for the stimulus check update. Let's get into a paycheck protection update. So many more people are being funded. Every single day I'm getting more messages, people saying, thank you so much, I'm funded. I wouldn't have done this if you didn't walk through and make it sound simple. I am so appreciative to everyone who reaches out and says, hey, thank you, I've been funded. Honestly, it's amazing me because I've been spending months and months and months trying to make this as accessible as possible. But there's a few people who are still confused with the process. So here's what happens. At least I can speak to Womply, the lender that I've been connected with. If you haven't yet applied, absolutely apply. There's a link in the description. You want to do that as soon as possible still. But the process basically is you fill out your application. That gets processed on just the front end to make sure all the items are legitimate. Then it gets sent to a lender. The lender then processes it and makes sure that everything is legitimate on their end. And this can take a while. This, that beginning process can take 5 to 10 days before you actually hear back. So if you haven't heard back right away, don't worry, that's part of the process. Then you're going to sign some loan documents with a DocuSign. Then after that, it gets sent to the SBA, and this is the long processing time. This can take 2 to 3 weeks where the SBA processes it, then they approve it, they send it back to your lender, you sign some final documents, then funds are dispersed in 3 to 5 days. So the whole thing is still quite the process. That fast lane application cuts the time down by about 30%, but it's still a lot of processing time, especially on the SBA end. So a lot of people are sitting around like, I don't know if it's going to be accepted. There's a very, very high probability, like we're talking 98%. If you haven't heard back, you're still in the right process. Every single person I've checked into, they're on the right process, so I'd be willing to bet you are as well. As long as you didn't upload anything fraudulent or anything like that, you will be all right. An issue that I have seen though is people are uploading a slightly incorrect document. So there's a portion on the Fastlane application where you need to upload your Schedule C. Make sure you're just uploading your Schedule C, not your full tax return, unless they specify otherwise that you need your full tax return for some kind of verification process. And also on your Schedule C, make sure your Social Security number or your EIN is actually on the top, not just X's, because some people, they'll upload just the X's and then it gets rejected because there's no confirmation of that Social Security number or EIN. Also, if you fail your verification questions before you do your DocuSign, what you can do here is reach out to Womply and say, hey, can you re-trigger this application? And they will re-trigger it so you can get sent new questions and do that verification process again. And one thing that they told me is there are tons of people sitting in queue right now who have signed up but just haven't signed their loan documents yet. So make sure you check your email, check your junk folder, check your promotions folder, and make sure that there's not a DocuSign there that you haven't signed yet, because you have to sign it to move forward on the process. So do that so you can be funded. Also, finally, the timeline here will very likely be extended. We're expecting a vote in the Senate this week, and there's a very high probability that it gets extended by 2 months, which is very exciting, and obviously it makes sense. There's so many people who just simply wouldn't get funded if it wasn't extended. It makes total sense. I'm confident that'll be extended, but still, I recommend applying sooner than later if you haven't yet. Now let's do our final update, the EIDL update, and how this channel actually kind of influenced politics a little bit. Sometimes it's crazy to me, like these things you would never guess that happen that sometimes do. So what happened here with the EIDL Grant program? There's a new grant program under the latest stimulus bill that offers $5,000 EIDL payments to certain businesses who hit the criteria of living in a low income area. have a 50% reduction in gross receipts, and have 10 or fewer employees. And there was some confusion here with senators who didn't think that low income criteria was part of it. And I was looking at the stimulus bill and other YouTubers who were talking about this, and I was like, this doesn't make sense exactly. To me, the stimulus bill says this, but certain senators were saying otherwise. And there was even senator website, the senator in Hawaii had a website that said the information that I thought was incorrect. So I reached out to a contact of mine at the SBA, a higher up, and explained the situation, asked for some clarification. And because of this, the SBA reached out to that state senator and corrected the misinformation here and the mistakes on the website, and it's now fixed. So it's kind of crazy like how these things can happen. So this channel actually surprisingly helped stop the spread of misinformation and correct an issue on an official government website. So that was kind of cool. So that's going to do it for today. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you want more quality content on a daily basis. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.